I knew something was off the second my phone buzzed with that calendar invite. Meeting with Victoria, 9:30 a.m. No subject, no assistant looped in. Just her and me. I stared at the screen for a second before grabbing my notebook and heading upstairs. Victoria's office was glass-walled and spotless, like always. She barely looked up as I walked in. "Close the door," she said, flipping through a folder that had my name on the tab. She didn't waste time. "I heard you took a sick day last Friday." I nodded. "Yeah, wasn't feeling great." Her eyes locked on mine. "And by not feeling great, you mean interviewing with a competitor?" My stomach didn't drop. My hands didn't shake. I'd been waiting for this kind of stunt. "I don't know where you're getting that," I said, calm as anything. She held up a paper. "Let's not play games, Ethan. You met with Crossline's CEO. Word gets around." Then she tossed the paper on the desk like it proved something. I didn't deny it. She leaned forward. "After everything this company's done for you, that's how you repay us, sneaking off to jump ship behind our backs?" I wanted to laugh. Everything they'd done for me? Like what? Underpaying me for 6 straight years and stringing me along with fake promises. Instead, I just said, "I've worked hard here. I've brought in millions. If that's not loyalty, I don't know what is." She shook her head like she was disappointed in me. "We're terminating your employment, effective immediately." I stood up without a word. No argument, no begging. I shook her hand out of pure habit. "Thanks for the opportunity," I said, just loud enough for her to hear the edge in my voice. Security was already waiting by the elevator when I stepped out. "Before we go any further, tell us what city or country you're watching from today." Back downstairs, I packed my things into a cardboard box while security hovered like I might steal a stapler. My coworkers didn't say a word. Just those awkward glances and silent mouse clicks. 6 years of my life dumped into one sad box. My coffee mug, a few pens, and a framed photo of my dog. Not even a goodbye card. As I was sliding the box into the back of my truck, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number, text message. "Ethan, let's move our final conversation to this afternoon. 2 p.m., Mark Tolan." I read it twice. Then I cracked a smile. Let them watch me leave. I sat behind the wheel for a second, hands still on the steering wheel, phone face up on the passenger seat. That message from Mark sat there like a challenge. 2 p.m., I had time to kill and nowhere to be. But my head was already spinning. I started at Silver Ridge fresh out of college. Didn't know a damn thing about real advertising, just wide-eyed and hungry to prove myself. I took a job as an assistant because it was the only offer I got. 30 grand a year, shared desk, fetching lattes, and building PowerPoints I never got credit for. I stayed late every night, not because anyone asked me to, but because I wanted to be the one they couldn't ignore. 2 years in, I finally got my shot. A junior rep quit mid-campaign, and I stepped in. No training, no warning, just, "Here's the client, don't screw it up." I didn't. I crushed it. From there, I became the cleanup guy. Every account that started circling the drain, they gave it to me. I fixed it every time. By year 3, I was managing my own book. By year 4, I was bringing in big fish. Then came Crossline Systems. That was the turning point. Their original launch campaign was a disaster. Botched rollout, weak messaging, client on the verge of walking. The account was one step from dead. Victoria handed it to me like she was doing me a favor. "Just do what you can," she said. "We're probably losing it anyway." I worked nights and weekends for a month, rebuilt the whole damn campaign from scratch. My roommate at the time barely saw me. I pitched the client a new vision in a rented hotel conference room because the company wouldn't spring for a proper venue. 3 weeks later, Crossline signed a full-year contract. Biggest deal we had. My reward? An email from Victoria with 3 words. "Nice save, Ethan." After that, it was like I had a target on my back. I wasn't just the guy who fixed things. I was the guy they expected to always fix things. No credit, no raise, no support. First time I asked for a bump, we're still stabilizing from the new lease. Second time, let's talk again after Q4. We're looking long term. Third time, we value you, Ethan. Just need everyone to be patient. Meanwhile, Victoria rolled up in a brand new Escalade with dealer plates still on. They moved us into a downtown office with floor-to-ceiling windows and an espresso bar nobody asked for. Somehow there was always money for plants, leather chairs, and catered lunches for upper management, just not for raises. I kept telling myself it would pay off eventually, that if I just worked harder, they'd see it, that maybe I hadn't waited long enough. But that last year, that's when it really hit me. I landed a massive renewal for Crossline. 3-year deal, expanded budget, new product lines. I walked into Victoria's office thinking, this is it. I've earned it. No way she can ignore this one. She smiled, nodded through my pitch, then said, let's circle back on comp after the holiday break. That was in May. I walked out of her office, shut the door behind me, sat at my desk, and opened up LinkedIn. Updated my resume, sent a message to an old client contact I trusted. That night, I didn't even eat dinner. I sat on my couch, staring at my ceiling, just playing it all over in my head. Every late night, every lie, every meeting I got passed over in. All of it finally adding up to one clear truth. They were never going to reward me. They were never going to see me as anything but the guy who cleaned up the mess, then disappeared so someone else could take the credit. So, yeah, I took a sick day. And yeah, I took that meeting. Because I wasn't going to sit in that chair one more day waiting for scraps while Victoria sipped oat milk lattes from a corner office she didn't earn. I didn't owe them loyalty, not anymore. By the time I got home, the adrenaline had worn off. The second I set the cardboard box on the kitchen counter, it felt real. This was it. Jobless. No paycheck coming. No calendar full of calls and deliverables. Just me, my stuff, and a refrigerator full of condiments and takeout containers. I stared at that box, my nameplate, a dried-out Sharpie, the same damn mug I'd had since year 1, chipped on the rim. 6 years, all of it shrunk down into office junk and cheap memories. My phone buzzed. Dan. Dude, it's all over the building. Heard from finance and HR. What the hell happened? I didn't answer right away. A minute later, it buzzed again. Dan. Jess is pissed. I barely had time to process that before my phone started ringing. Tell me this is a joke, Jess said, skipping hello. It's not. They fired you? She snapped. Are you kidding me right now? I took a sick day. That's their story. Ethan, you built that account. Everyone knows it. You kept Crossline from walking out the damn door. Do they think we're blind? Jess didn't work in my department, but she knew the politics better than most. She'd been there long enough to see how things worked. Who got promoted, who got scapegoated. She never sugarcoated anything. You know what pisses me off the most? She said. They didn't even pretend to fight for you, didn't try to keep you, just tossed you out like old trash. My jaw clenched. I didn't want to admit it, but she was right. They didn't hesitate. Victoria made up her mind and cut me loose like I never mattered. They're gonna regret this, she said, low and hard. Trust me. I was about to respond when another buzz hit. This time from an unknown number. I cut her off. Jess, I got a call coming in. Text me the second you know anything, she said. Seriously, you better land on your feet or I'm burning that place down myself. I smiled, then answered the call. Ethan, Mark Tolan here. His voice was calm, clear, in control. Given recent events, I'd like to accelerate our job discussion. Can you be here by 2? I'll be there. I hung up, looked down at myself. Faded t-shirt, sweats, bare feet on cold tile. I was a mess. Didn't matter. I marched to the bedroom, grabbed a clean shirt, slacks, blazer, pulled on my shoes like I was going to war. No hesitation, no doubt. They thought they'd broken me. They had no idea what I was about to walk into. By 1:50, I was pulling into the lot at Crossline's headquarters. Modern glass building, sleek steel signage, people walking around with purpose, not faking it for optics. This place felt alive, like actual work was getting done here, not just buzzwords and posturing. I stepped into the lobby and gave my name. A receptionist with a Bluetooth headset smiled, then waved me through like she already knew who I was. Mark Tolan was waiting in the upstairs lounge. Slim-fit shirt, sleeves rolled up, tablet in hand, no assistant, no nonsense. He stood as I approached and shook my hand. Ethan, thanks for coming in on short notice. Appreciate the invite. He nodded toward a glass-walled meeting room. Let's talk in here. The second I sat down, he got right to it. So, I got a call this morning. Victoria from Silver Ridge. Of course she did. She informed me that you were terminated, effective immediately. Then she made it very clear she'd be taking over our account personally. I didn't flinch. Sounds about right. He raised an eyebrow. That line didn't sit well with me, at all. He set his tablet down and leaned in. Truth is, we've been uneasy with Silver Ridge for a while now. Inconsistent service, poor turnaround times. But we stuck with them because of you. I didn't say anything, just let him talk. You've always understood our brand better than anyone else we've worked with. And we've noticed when your fingerprints are missing. That landed harder than I expected. After years of being sidelined and downplayed, it was jarring to hear someone actually say it. He held my gaze. I want to be clear. This wasn't about poaching. We weren't looking to pull you away from anything. But once you reached out, it felt like the obvious move. Mark opened a drawer, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the table. My name was typed across the front. I opened it. Director of Brand Strategy. Full benefits. Signing bonus. Leadership of a new in-house creative team. Reporting directly to the executive board. Then I saw the number. It was almost double what I was making at Silver Ridge. I blinked. For a second I thought maybe I read it wrong. But it was real. Look, he said, we don't expect an answer today. I know this is a lot. And I know the circumstances aren't ideal. Take the night. Sleep on it. I looked up. You already know I'm going to say yes. He smiled. Probably. But I respect people who don't jump just because the number's bigger. It's not just the number. He nodded. No, it's about where you're valued. That word hit harder than I wanted it to. Valued. I closed the folder and slid it back toward him. I'll let you know tomorrow. Mark stood and reached across the table. We'd be lucky to have you, Ethan, and frankly, they were stupid to let you go. I shook his hand. They'll figure that out soon enough. As I walked back out into the lobby, I could feel it in my chest, that tension starting to lift. Like maybe I hadn't just lost everything this morning. Maybe I'd finally been cut loose from the dead weight. I stepped out into the August heat, pulled my blazer off, and got into the truck. I wasn't gloating, not yet, but they'd handed me the exit I never thought I'd have the guts to take, and someone who mattered, actually wanted me to lead. I was halfway through a cold beer on my porch when my phone lit up again. Unknown number. I almost let it ring out, but something in me said, pick it up. Ethan, this is Lillian Graves, board director at Silver Ridge. I sat up. I know it's been a tough day, she said. I'd like to meet, if you're willing, in person. I waited a beat before answering. Just so you know, I already signed a new contract this afternoon. She didn't flinch. Still, I'd like to have a conversation. Doesn't have to change anything, just talk. Her tone was polished, professional. Not panicked, but definitely urgent. She wasn't calling for closure. She was calling because someone upstairs was finally doing the math. When? I asked. Tomorrow morning, 8:30? Fine. But, like I said, I'm already gone. I hung up and set the phone down on the armrest. That call didn't come from Victoria. It came from the board, which meant one thing. They knew they screwed up, and they were scrambling. The next morning, I walked into the coffee shop 10 minutes early. She was already there. Gray suit, tablet case, black coffee. Looked more like someone from a law firm than an ad agency. Ethan, she said, standing up to shake my hand. Thanks for making time. I sat. Let's skip the part where I pretend I don't know why I'm here. She gave a thin smile. Fair enough. I just wanted to clear the air. There's been some miscommunication around your departure. Is that what we're calling it now? I think things escalated before all the facts were in. Victoria may have acted prematurely. I raised an eyebrow. She fired me for disloyalty. You're telling me that wasn't a board-level call? She hesitated, just long enough to answer without speaking. We didn't realize Crossline was reconsidering their contract, she finally said. If we had, the approach would have been different. And there it was. They didn't care until that was on the line. Let me save you some time, I said. I'm not coming back. I've already started transitioning into my new role. That ship's gone. She nodded slowly, like she expected it. If I can ask, she said, what could we have done differently? That one actually made me pause. I looked her in the eye. Respect and fairness before it's too late. She nodded again, but this time her jaw tightened. It wasn't about fixing anything now. It was about covering their asses. I stood up. Thanks for the coffee. Then I walked out without shaking her hand. I walked into Silver Ridge at exactly 8:28 the next morning. Button-down shirt, tie, pressed slacks, polished boots, clean, confident, unshakable. I wasn't there to beg or look back. I was there to finish this. A few familiar faces glanced up from their desks as I passed. Some looked surprised. Others couldn't make eye contact. I didn't stop for any of them. Lillian was waiting in the small conference room near the back. She stood when I walked in, smiled politely, and gestured to a chair across from her. "I appreciate you coming in." I sat without answering. She slid a folder across the table. Inside, a printed reinstatement offer. "After reviewing your contributions and the circumstances, the board agrees you were let go without proper cause," she said. "We're offering reinstatement effective immediately, back pay from the termination date, a 10% salary increase, and a promotion to senior account director." I stared at the page, let it sit between us. She waited. I finally looked up. "You're serious?" "We are. We believe this is a fair and appropriate resolution." I let out a short breath through my nose, not quite a laugh. "You think this is going to fix it?" "It's a starting point." "No," I said, pushing the folder back toward her. "It's a reaction. You didn't start anything. You waited until it blew up in your face." Her expression didn't change, but I could see it in her eyes. This wasn't going the way she'd planned. "I appreciate the gesture," I said, "but I've already accepted a new position. I'm not interested in coming back. We hoped you'd reconsider." "I'm sure you did." Lillian glanced down, regrouped. "It's not just about you, Ethan. There are people here who relied on you, who learned from you." "I gave everything I had to this place," I said, sharper now. 6 years, late nights, weekends. I carried campaigns while your managers took credit and gave me nothing but excuses. You ignored me until Crossline was in play. That's the truth." She sighed. "Then tell me, what could we have done differently?" That same question, word for word. I looked her dead in the eye. Respect and fairness, before it's too late. She didn't say anything after that. I stood, adjusted my cuffs, and nodded once. "No hard feelings, but I'm not for sale anymore." Then I turned and walked out. Didn't look back, didn't say goodbye. I passed the same desks, the same half-curious stares. Only this time, I didn't feel like a ghost. I felt done. Not angry, not bitter, just done. When I stepped outside into the sun, it felt final, like something I'd been dragging behind me for too long had finally let go. By Monday morning, I was walking through the front doors of Crossline with a badge clipped to my belt and a clear head. No baggage, no politics, just a clean slate and a job that actually made sense. The office had energy, people moving fast, screens alive with real work, not just fluff and fake urgency like Silver Ridge. And no one looked up at me like I didn't belong. Mark met me by the elevators. "You ready?" "Always." He brought me into the open floor main area and introduced me to the team. "This is Ethan," he said. "He knows our brand better than anyone I've worked with, in or out of this building." That hit. Not because he said it loud, but because nobody flinched. Nobody second-guessed it. They nodded, shook my hand, and moved on like it was normal to respect someone's work without making it political. I settled into my new desk. Clean, setup done, monitor already logged in, and barely had time to breathe before Mark circled back. "Leadership meeting in 10. You'll want to be there." 10 minutes later, I was in a glass-walled conference room with a dozen execs. Half of them I'd only seen on emails over the years. Now I was at the table. Mark looked over. "We're reviewing agency contracts, including Silver Ridge. I want your honest take." I kept my expression flat. "You want it now?" "Now's good." I nodded. Silver Ridge had a few strong years, but lately the work's been uneven, inconsistent deadlines, lack of clarity. Their creative has been slipping. Someone across the table asked, "Is that tied to recent personnel changes?" I shrugged. "Could be. I can't speak to what's going on internally now. All I can tell you is the deliverables weren't holding up." No emotion, no bitterness, just the truth. Another exec leaned in. "If we reevaluate, what should we be prioritizing?" "Consistency, communication, follow-through. You need a team that gets the brand and doesn't just sell you pitch decks." Mark nodded slowly. "Appreciate the clarity." Nobody questioned it. Nobody challenged me. That moment told me everything. I wasn't there to play politics or dance around egos. I was finally in a room where what I knew actually mattered. After the meeting, one of the VPs walked up and said, Good input. We've needed that voice for a while. I just nodded and went back to work. I wasn't here to spike the ball. I wasn't here to trash the past. I had bigger things to build now. By the end of that first week, the writing was on the wall. Thursday morning, Mark called me into his office. He was already on a call with procurement and 2 execs when I walked in, but he waved me to a chair. "We've made the call," he said, once he muted his mic. "Silver Ridge is out. Contract ends in 30 days. I nodded. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. He unmuted. "Ethan's taking point on the transition. He'll manage the handoff to our new agency." And just like that, it was official. The biggest account Silver Ridge had. Gone. Their anchor client. Pulled from under them. And I didn't even have to say a word. No pitch, no revenge play. Just facts, timing, and the truth finally catching up to them. Later that afternoon, I was reviewing onboarding materials for the new agency when my phone buzzed. "Dan? Yo, Victoria's melting down." I kept reading. "Dan? 3 people updated their resumes yesterday. 2 others asked HR about internal transfers." I stared at the screen for a second, then locked it and set the phone face down. I didn't need to reply. He'd get it. Back at my desk, I went right back to work. Vendor meeting in 30 minutes. Onboarding schedule still behind. Design review at 4. I had things to do. Real things. Forward-facing things. I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel cold either. I just felt clear. This wasn't about making them suffer. It wasn't about payback or getting one over on Victoria. It was about building something that didn't have to run on ego and silence. I thought back to all the late nights I spent at Silver Ridge, stuck behind while someone else pitched my work. The empty thanks. The looks when I pushed too hard for what I'd earned. Now, I sat in a place where I could speak freely, act without asking permission, and be heard without having to raise my voice. That was the win. Let Victoria rage. Let the company scramble. That part wasn't mine to fix or worry about anymore. At 5 on the dot, I shut my laptop, grabbed my jacket, and walked out without looking back. Outside, the city noise felt different, not louder, just sharper. Like I was finally in step with it. I didn't need anyone to see me succeed. I just needed to do it. A year later, I was in my office at Crossline, watching my team go back and forth on a rebrand pitch that actually had legs. No dead weight, no politics, just people who gave a damn and weren't afraid to push back when something didn't work. I'd built that, from the ground up. 6 full-time hires, 2 rotating contractors, and a department that finally knew what it felt like to win the right way. I didn't chase clients anymore. They came to us. I didn't have to remind anyone what I was worth. The results did that on their own. Every now and then someone mentioned Silver Ridge, usually in passing. Jess said HR had lost half their mid-level staff in 6 months. Dan told me they'd lost another major account to a boutique shop in Seattle. I heard rumors they were downsizing their flashy downtown office, the one with the espresso bar no one ever used. I didn't care. It wasn't bitterness. It wasn't pride either. It just didn't register anymore, like an old ringtone you don't even recognize. The anger was long gone. I didn't look for updates. I didn't scroll LinkedIn hoping to see bad news. If anything, I avoided it. That part of my life was over, cut clean. What I got in the end wasn't revenge. It wasn't some perfect karmic justice where everyone who doubted me finally begged for forgiveness. What I got was better. I got freedom. I got clarity. I got the guts to walk out when I wasn't being respected and start something I actually believed in. Turns out, that's harder than staying miserable. And way more valuable. Victoria probably still thought firing me was some kind of power move, a lesson. She had no idea she set me free.